In a Nigerian village at the epicenter of Boko Haram's reign, residents absorb the news that yet another 12 people have been killed.
They drop the suicide bomber. They start shooting gun. So our people they enter inside town. As they enter inside town, so people they start running.
The latest attack on civilians, despite Nigeria's government saying it has things under control. But UNICEF says the number of child suicide bombers reached 83 this year, more than 4 times the figure in 2016. Nigeria is part of a multinational joint task force against Boko Haram, set up in 2014 with Niger, Cameroon and Chad. Over the past 7 years, the militants have targeted all of these nations. They have killed more than 20,000 people, displaced 1.7 million, and left another 10 million people in need of food and shelter. Human rights groups say the Nigerian government's tactics against the group, including executions, arrests and enforced disappearances, could be harming innocent civilians and exacerbating the violence.
Amnesty International believes that the main causes of death in detention were starvation, thirst, suffocation, severe overcrowding that led to spread of diseases, torture, lack of medical attention, and the use of fumigation chemicals in unventilated cells.
The report is not the first time Nigeria has been accused of going too far with its anti-terror strategy. Former US President Barack Obama had signed off a $6 million aircraft and weapons deal with Abuja. But the agreement was delayed after concerns over alleged abuse by African forces. The US now says it will go forward. The war against Boko Haram has cost nearly $9 billion across northeastern Nigeria alone, in a nation riddled with political instability and a weak economy. And Nigeria's neighbours are in no position to help. Thousands of people face drought and famine in the desert of Niger, while in Chad and Cameroon, Boko Haram's shift in tactics in recent months has made civilians even more vulnerable than ever. Vanessa Keneally, The Newsmakers.
Well, to debate the best way of battling Boko Haram, I'm joined now from London by Tunde Doherty. He's the Deputy Chairman of the UK chapter of Nigeria's ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, the APC. And in Lagos, we have Tanwa Ashiru. She's the founder of Bulwark Intelligence, a privately owned security consulting firm. She's also advised NATO on how to deal with the Boko Haram insurgency. I thank you both for joining us. Tanwa, if I can begin with you. We had news on Tuesday from the Nigerian army saying they killed 18 Boko Haram fighters in Sambisa forest after a battle. When you hear news like that from the Nigerian army, do you believe them?
Well, I mean, it gets challenging to believe them because we're hoping to see the results on the ground, which is with reduced IED attacks or reduced presence or reduced activity of Boko Haram. Unfortunately, it is not translating. In fact, what we're seeing is a case whereby the locals still seem to be supporting Boko Haram for one reason or the other. Recently, in fact, one of the Chibok girls who was free, or she was a person, one of the females who was released from Boko Haram captivity, we actually found out that she ran back to Boko Haram territory, saying that, you know, her husband treated her better. And we've seen so many cases like that. So really, it boils down to the community. How does the community feel about the military, about the military's operations? Bottom line, it shows that the military has not been able to effectively win over the locals, and that's why Boko Haram still seems to be going pretty strong.
Tunde Doherty, when people are suspicious of the news that comes from the army and people are suspicious of where this battle is at, with all of that in mind, 10 months on, did President Buhari make a mistake in declaring victory? Because it's clear you haven't beaten anybody. The fight's still raging.
I would not agree with you on the fact that the president is not made a highway in combating Boko Haram.
But he didn't say we made a highway. He said we won.
Yes, I will tell you that the president has articulated the fact that the Boko Haram battle is won. Because if you look back to the insurgent years back, you see that what we have now is just a miscreant of attack here and there. And the fact that every operational base of Boko Haram, including the Sambisa forest, has been thoroughly cordoned and dealt with, it has virtually destabilized their organizing mechanism to go into town, take people hostage, and drive off as they used to do, go into town, go to market, take all the food stuff and all of that.
Right.
So what we see now is just suicide bombing.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they still do that.
They cannot.
Okay, Tunde, 83 kids used as human bombs in the past year. Themselves, because they're kids, they're victims and they're perpetrators. 83 children, child suicide bombers, still killing scores of Nigerians over the year. While it may be fine to say, yes, we've weakened Boko Haram, that's not what the president said. He said we won. And since then, all of this is happening. So perhaps maybe there's an opportunity for a mea culpa saying, yes, while they are weakened in some ways, in Sambisa Forest and elsewhere, clearly we maybe underestimated them. I support the word of the president. The word of the president. The president said exactly the right thing about the efforts of the military.
Yeah, but then the president is not actually the one who is getting attacked on the ground. The people on the ground are still getting attacked. He just mentioned all those numbers of children who are still being used as suicide bombers. Actually, the thing is, the military, all they really did was that they allowed Boko Haram change their tactics. And so you can't say that because a terrorist group has changed their tactics, it means that we've defeated them simply because whatever activity you did prevented them from continuing the way they were, which is holding down territory. So now they don't hold territory, in fact, at least not in the populated areas, because they still have a lot of territory. Recently, the Nigerian Air Force actually said that on the border of Borno and Lake Chad area, they actually found flags of Boko Haram flags that were flying in the area, and they conducted an airstrike on the area. So what does that mean? It means that, yes, you may have been successful in pushing them out of Sambisa, but you pushed them out into other areas. That is to tell you that the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Air Force, and the Nigerian military are 24 hours on this fight, even though the battle has been won. But
what did we expect
the presence of the army and
Tunde, did we expect them not to be 24/7 on this fight?
You see, you cannot just say because you have destabilized a structure and believe that everything is over. It's never over. Even today in Iran, in Afghanistan, the presence of the U.S. military and British military officers are still there. Every day things happened. So we don't expect that overwhelming miracle that, oh yes, because it's been declared.
I think you mean Iraq, not Iran.
Yes,
nevertheless, let me ask Tanwa.
I want to ask Tanwa. And that's why nobody really comes out to say.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's just kind of move on from this for a moment, and let me ask you, Tanwa, the fact that Boko Haram has splintered effectively into two groups, because you have Shekau. I mean, we'd heard he died multiple times. He's still alive, according to all the best available evidence. And you have Barnawi as well. Now, I guess there's two ways to look at it. Does them splintering mean that they're weakened, or are they double the trouble now? Which one is it?
Yeah, it's actually, it's double the trouble. In fact, one of the recent attacks that took place when some lecturers from the university were carrying out some surveillance or some surveys, some ground surveys for oil exploration or whatever it was they were doing out there, they were actually attacked by the Al-Barnawi faction. And so really what this shows you is, look, we're actually fighting on two ends. Al-Barnawi does not agree with Shekau, but I think that has to do more with, there's a lot of ego involved. He claims it's because Shekau is not actually following a lot of the rules and the tenets of what he's supposed to be doing, but it has more to do with ego. Shekau has always been there. The military keeps saying that they found him. They have not found him. Every time, in fact, recently the army said, look, we give you 40 days, a 40-day ultimatum. You need to find him. And then every time they do that, he bounces back, releases a new video, tells them, look, I'm still very much around. And that right there just signifies really that when it comes to intelligence, there's still a huge problem.
Tunde,
so
how do you feel?
You can't say that an organization has been defeated, a terrorist organization has been defeated when they're still carrying out attacks.
Certainly. Tunde, let me ask you then, how do you feel about the fact that Shekau has been pronounced dead multiple times, only for him to emerge in new videos. A Boko Haram commander recently, Shuaib Monu, came out and he mocked the Nigerian army and the government over their failure to capture Shekaus, given their 40-day deadline. Moni even described President Buhari as a small ant. So they come out with these videos and they mock the president and they say, hey, I'm alive. You said I was dead. How do you feel about that? Doesn't that seem as if what the pronouncements we're getting from the Nigerian government and the Nigerian army don't really match with what's going on the ground?
The point is the strategies of the military cannot be divulged into the public. The military and the surveillance and the intelligence are at work 24/7. Shekaus is just being cowardly. The thing is that Shekaus has died several times. He has rejoiced in videos that definitely you might not. You just see the masquerade. Definitely you don't even know whether it's the real Shekaus or whatever. The thing is that because they have an organization that cannot be as coordinated as it used to be before. Mark you, even the government, even in the fight of Boko Haram, the government is trying as much as possible to even negotiate with these people if they show up. It's not a matter of taking them to war and all of this. You have a fight with the federal government. The government is ready to say, okay, come, let's sit down on the table. Let's discuss this problem. Let it go all over. Let us all live in peace. Stop all of this.
But
I think where you misunderstand.
Over 20,000 people.
Certainly.
And continue to kill.
Yeah, okay. Tunde, where I think you misunderstand is any criticism,
on a table
you're
and
assuming...
talk to people who are doing that.
Yeah, Tunde, you're assuming we're saying the government's not working hard to fight Boko Haram. That's not the question. It is working 24/7. It's trying hard to fight Boko Haram. We're asking if it's doing it in the right way or if it's making mistakes along the way. And as a part of that, Tunde, let me add to that. I read a report from the International Crisis Group about vigilantes, right? Originally emerging in Maiduguri and now spreading because you have a vacuum, because people on the ground feel that the army and Nigerian security services are not doing enough to defeat Boko Haram, so they're taking up arms themselves, and in the process, some of them are terrorizing their own villages and committing human rights abuses and so on, because they're vigilantes, Nigerians taking up arms by themselves because they don't trust their army. Surely that tells you there's a problem, Tunde.
That's not a problem at all. That's in fighting the Boko Haram, you need all the support that is necessary, because you see these people, the constituents of Boko Haram are people that lives among themselves, who knows each other. So if you are fighting such a war, which is like a guerrilla war as it is you have to engage those communities where these people come from. The people knows who they can identify who is the terrorist from among the other citizens. So for the Nigerian government to encourage and bring together the community vigilantes to assist in the fight of Boko Haram, I think is the right thing to do. Is the right strategy to apply in order that we will be able to identify. You see, we are talking about what is happening. We are not talking about the day-to-day opportunity the government has been given for things not to have happened. You see, out of 100 of attacks, just about 10 or 20 happens, and people say, hey, but they're not looking inward of the effort of the government within the last 2 years.
Again,
look at we must take stock of the fact that the federal government
certainly but it's not about the effort. They're working hard. They're doing all they can. Tanwa, because we're running out of time, tell me how this can end well. Tell me how you feel an adjustment can be made to ensure that the fight against Boko Haram can be won and all the suffering of all these civilians can come to an end. Tell me, Tanwa.
I can tell you.
Tanwa, please.
Well, I mean, there's one aspect in which I agree with Tunde, which is that they're actually supposed to be working with the locals. The vigilantes actually work alongside with the military. But then what really needs to happen, and this is a problem that we're seeing pan-Nigeria, is we're seeing more and more military doing or performing the work that the police force should be doing. And so there's a lot of militarization. And for a country that's had, a pretty shaky history with the military, there needs to be a shift from that. And so instead, what we're seeing is vigilantes who are doing the work of what the police should be doing. So for this to end well, the truth is it has to come from the locals. Look, part of the reason why Boko Haram is still going strong right now today is because of the money. It really is. It's a matter of follow the money, follow the finances, who is benefiting from this, because there are a lot of people benefiting from it, and that's what's keeping the war going on. All the way from all the extra money that's being pumped into the area to people who are supplying, weapons and everything else that's going on. So you have to follow that. That's number one. Number two, the locals. The locals really, really need to step up. In fact, there was a recent report that came out that said that some local parents were actually selling selling their children, their girls, their daughters to Boko Haram to be used as suicide bombers. So obviously that aspect also highlights the socioeconomic issues that are going on in the area, but then it also shows that residents of the state, Borno, the locals there in Maiduguri, everybody needs to be all hands on deck on this. And the police needs to play a more vital role in this. They need to step up. The military cannot be there forever. They need to be able to go in, do what they need to do, and then hand over to the police to really hold down and maintain whatever progress that they've made.
Tunde Doherty and Tanwa Ashiru, I think it's been a fantastic conversation. Unfortunately, I'm out of time, but I appreciate both of you coming on the program. I hope to have you both on the program again. I thank you very much for joining us on the Newsmakers.